So to start a garter tab cast on we need a slip knot. So take your yarn, it doesn't matter how you make it as long as it's a proper slip knot. So I take it and make a loop. So you can see that the yarn is crossing at the front. Then I take my fingers through that loop and I pull up another loop. As long as there's a loop that can be adjusted and undone, that's fine. So I make a loop and then I take my fingers through that loop and make another loop. And then I put that slip knot on my knitting needle, just on one needle tip. You do need circular needles for this, and put the other needle tip on top. So slip knot on the bottom needle, the other needle tip on top, and then hold those in my left hand. Then I take the working yarn with my right hand, I hold on to that slip knot so it doesn't slide off, and then I cast on towards the needle tip. So I take the yarn up the back, down the front, up the back, down the front. Now for a depending on the type of shawl I'm making, you will cast on either 2 or 3 stitches. For this one I'm going to do 3 because it's easier to demonstrate with 3. Okay, so I'm going to pull the needle, bottom needle, which is the one with the slip knot, pull that forward and turn it around so you can knit with it. So you've now got the stitches on the needle and around the cable. It's important that the stitches go around the cable as well. So if you knit the English way, if you knit continental way, you kind of hold the yarn here, so it's okay. If you knit continental way, the English way, make sure that the yarn stays under this cable. Don't let the yarn go between the needle and the cable because you will lose one of the stitches from the cable. So make sure that the yarn stays under here. Okay. It does feel really weird when you go into the first stitch, but that's fine. Just knit the first row, knit all 3 stitches. And the cable, the slip knot is on the cable here, which is fine. Now you're going to leave these stitches on the cable. We're going to leave those there. If you were using this as a toe-up sock cast on, you would turn and knit the stitches on the cable now. But we're going to use it as a provisional cast on. So we're going to turn the needle and we're going to knit just back and forth on these 2 needles. Now from now on, it's important that you slip the first stitch. So you want to slip it with the yarn in front. So I'll show you how to do this continental, and then on the next row I'll show you the English way. So just take your needle under the yarn. I put my finger on there because it's easier to get it into the stitch. Put it into the stitch purlwise, take it off, and then I just lift the yarn over the needle to the back like that. And then I knit 2. Turn. And then we're going to do that the English way this time. So yarn in my left hand. Now remember, I'm not an English style knitter, so I'm not very good at this. So I'm going to put my needle, hang on, let me move the scissors out of the way a bit. So I'm going to put the needle behind the yarn. The yarn has to be in front. Put the stitch in, needle into the stitch purlwise and take it off. And then here's the important bit. The yarn has to go between the needles to the back. That's the important bit. And then we're going to knit those 2. And then turn. And slip the first one, knit 2. And you're going to knit enough rows. Obviously the pattern will tell you how many rows it is. I think I normally do about 7 rows if I want 9 stitches and sorry, if I want to pick up 3 stitches. So I'm going to just quickly knit a few rows. Important that you slip the first stitch, knit the other 2, and you will see here, oops, sorry, you'll see here that you got these elongated stitches along the edge of your garter tab, which is what you want. It does feel really weird doing this. It's not a very sort of comfortable thing to do really, but it does look very good. Okay, so once you've got enough to pick up 3 stitches in those, you've got 3 elongated stitches here, you're fine to get started. So then what I do is I pull the stitches on the cable. I just push those onto the other needle tip. So I got the stitches I've been knitting on one needle tip, I got the other stitches on the other needle tip. Now it doesn't matter if the slip knot is at the beginning of the needle or at the end of the needle, that doesn't matter. You're not going to knit the slip knot anyway. I like to hold it like this because it just feels a bit firmer. And then I'm going to find these elongated stitches on the side. There's 2 strands for each stitch. So 1, 2, I need to start up here. Under that elongated stitch, wrap the yarn around my needle and pull it through, just like you're knitting. Pretend that is a normal stitch. So you make another stitch, go under, make sure you go under both strands, wrap the yarn around and pull it through, and then do that a third time. So you do that 3 times, or however many times the pattern says. And then if your slip knot is the first stitch on this needle, then just pull it off. If it's the last stitch, then you just knit the first 3 stitches. If it's the slip knot is at the end like here, the first stitch can be a bit difficult to knit because it is just like looped around your needle. So knit 1, 2, 3. So I got 1 stitch left. I got that slip knot left on my left needle. So I can just pull my needle out and then pull it so it comes undone. And then I normally do 1 row before I start my pattern, because you can get a bit of an edge here, so I treat this as the wrong side row. So I'm going to slip the first one and I'm going to just knit to the end. There we go. So that's the Garter Tab Cast On, and now you're ready to start your pattern. We got 9 stitches.